Okay, third time's a charm. Okay, so the subject I chose for my project, project number two, is go over whistleblower laws. Um, for this presentation, I will give a brief background over the area of these employment laws, um, some more content into those laws, such as previous cases, and who's impacted by these laws. And then I will expand on some more recent things going on with these whistleblower laws, such as at the state level or any updates to laws. Um, so, whistleblower laws are basically in place to protect employees or any citizen, depending on the situation, from for reporting illegal activity or fraud, harassment, bribery, any type of violations of various laws. It provides protection to these employees and private citizens from retaliation and from the harassment that I previously mentioned. The type of businesses that these laws apply to are federal workers and government jobs and public trading businesses. Um, so as far as the content of some of these laws, I will go over what's included in the law, who does it apply to, and what's the impact of the law, and current or recent cases or past cases where this law was applied to. Um, so the False Claims Act was basically any person who knowingly submits or causes to submit false claims to the government to be liable for three times the government's damages, plus a penalty that is linked to inflation. Um, Liability can arise in other situations, such as when someone knowingly uses a false record material to make a false claim and properly avoids obligation to pay the government. Um, an example of this law being applied is a case of Omnicare settling for $21 million in kickbacks and a medical fraud case after multiple whistleblowers uncovering false claims that are being submitted to Medicaid for certain prescriptions. The Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002. Um, this was in response to major corporate and accounting scandals, such as from Enron, WorldCom, Tyco International, and Adelphia. These scandals shook investor confidence and revealed widespread fraud, inadequate oversight, and significant weaknesses in corporate governance and financial reporting. Um, this was to help protect investors from fraudulent financial reporting, um, and also mandated strict reforms to existing securities regulations and imposed tough new penalties on lawbreakers. Um, a case that involved this law is Murray versus UBS Securities LLC because Murray was terminated after reporting unethical practices by the company. The Dodd Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act, commonly known as the Dodd Frank Act, um, was passed during the financial crisis of 2008. Um, it sought to make the financial system safer for consumers and taxpayers. Um, this law mostly applied to financial industry and employers and increased regulations through oversight from government agencies. A case that involved this law was Digital Reality Trust Inc. versus Summers, where Summers was fired by Digital Reality because they reported concerns, but they didn't report the concerns to the SEC first. So due to that, Summers was not entitled to protection through this law. Some current and ongoing issues: climate change, whistleblower protections, Whistleblower Protection Improvement Act, and things that are happening at the state level. Um, Essentially, just extra protections and updates to ongoing issues for whistleblowers that still happen today. Climate change whistleblower protections. They were provided additional protections through the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act. They continue to be crucial against fighting against corporations ignoring the effects they may have on climate change through fossil fuels, emissions, and deforestation. Um, this is, examples of this of this act or these protections being in place are for like scientists who may have discovered some irregularities, um, and then bankers who may have come across financial reporting or funding towards projects that will have a direct effect on climate change. So they have the legal protection needed when they were to blow the whistle. Further protections with the Whistleblower Protection Improvement Act of 2021. Um, it was known that there were shortcomings in the original Whistleblower Protection Act. So this helped to clarify that no federal employee, including the president, can interfere with whistleblowers, preventing them from providing information to Congress. These expanded protections to help root out intimidation and retaliation, and limits public disclosure of the whistleblower. And then things that are happening at the state level, mostly through the Occupational Safety and Health Act, which already had its anti retaliation parts in it for whistleblowers. But there were 36 states, 29 states, 36 states total, but 29 states that approved plans to cover through private sector businesses and state and local governments. And then there were 7 states that had plans to approve through state and local governments only. Um, each state operates on their own, so they enforce the occupational safety and health law the way that is protective for them. But this adds more protections in that act, which includes the anti-retaliation section known as 11C. Um, so these investigations are conducted according to the state or territory's occupational safety and health law, and policies and procedures set forth in regulations and manual. Um, so these are some of the information that I provided in this presentation have their citations and the sources that I got the information from this page and the next page. And that is it for my presentation. Thank you.